remembered and unforgettable. My name is Rob Ranta, and I'll be the moderator of this panel of people, as you can see, who have never changed from their high school pictures. That's a wonderful thing to see. Russell and Alyssa Hobbs gave an outstanding presentation this morning about early Lanesville, from the 16 maybe to the 1800s. And it's a gift that we've recorded this for posterity in the Lanesville Village. We're going to jump a little bit more forward in the years of the 1930s to the 1950s. And we brought to you a group of people who comprise this panel, and I will ask each of them to say a little bit something about themselves. You already see their names, but we'll begin with Wally.
Well, I wrote this, and it says, I'll read it. I was born in Rockport 1933, and I moved to Lanesville in 1937. I explored and played all over the village, including Lanes Cove, Plum Cove, and the many quarries. I got married to my wife Joyce, and we brought up our family in Lanesville. I went on to become a commissioned officer in the Army Corps of Engineers. I retired as a registered professional engineer, and for 40 years I worked in the medical R&D lab of Hewlett-Packard. We invented the first patient monitors used in the country, retiring 1991 as a projects manager.
Edwin.
No, someone else take it. I'm waiting for my brain fly.
Okay, that's okay. We all understand that. Carol?
Okay, my name is Carol.
Do it like this.
Yeah. Like this? Is that okay?
Like you're eating an ice cream cone.
Oh, okay. My name is Carol Dow Russell. I grew up in Lanesville at 1111 Washington Street. Our close family consisted of my grandparents, Werner and Isabel Lawson, my mother, Isabel Dow, and my brother, David. Our home at 1111 Washington Street was built by my great-great-grandfather, John K. Dustin, who also opened the first large department store in downtown Lanesville. He lived at 1111 Washington Street with his wife, Harriet, and his daughter, Ada T. Dustin, who was my great-grandmother. And Ada T. Dustin married John Sharp, and they had two children, Isabel and William was called Bill. Isabel, my grandmother, married Verna Lawson, who lived at 67 Langsford Street. And my great-grandmother Ada also purchased a lovely Kate at 1055 Washington Street in Lanesville, where my great-uncle Bill lived. And Ada bought that house from Elizabeth Blood in 1889 for $75. Just the introduction, right?
Yes. Beverly?
Hello.
You have to hold it like you're eating an ice cream.
Oh. My name is Beverly Shane. My maiden name was Baruso, so Beverly Baruso King. I was born in Lanesville in 1936 on Halloween. My parents are Edna Baruso, who was Edna Bissett before she married my dad, Louis Baruso. They were born, both of them were born in Massachusetts. My mom was born in Boston, Massachusetts, so she was a out-of-towner. She summered here is how she met Dad. He was one of the boys on the beach. My father, Louis John, was born in 1912. And his family, they were brought up in Bayview, not too far down the road, because his dad was a quarry worker. So my grandparents have an interesting background. My mother's parents came from my grandmother, Olympia Bissett. Her maiden name was Bartman. She came from Finland. And she was born in 1886. And her husband, Andrew Irving Bissett, by way of Canada to Winooski, Vermont, to Gardner, Massachusetts. I don't know how he ended up in Boston. And he was born in 1876. So they were employed like Navy people, you know, they were house people, housekeepers, and my grandfather used to say he was a stationary engineer, which meant that he was the custodian of the property. And my brother Stephen Lewis Baruso, who lives in Gloucester, he was born just short of a year after I was born. So our birthdays, mine is October 31st and his is October 23rd, just short of a year apart. And my brother Stephen retired as a captain in the Gloucester Fire Department, and he has 4 children. And they live in various parts of Massachusetts. So for now, that's what I have to tell you. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Louise?
Okay, so growing up in Lanesville, I've lived many places, and I now live in Exeter, New Hampshire, and I hope I can say this without crying. Lanesville is my home. And I'll go into the rest of what I've written here about my family when we get back to the other parts.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm David. This is my big sister Carol, and she went through the whole family history, so I don't have to do that. I was born in Lanesville in 1940, and I actually left in 1958 within the service and worked various places. Have always lived in Gloucester. Wished I could say I always lived in Lanesville, but I haven't. And it's a great place to be today and see some of these people that I haven't seen for so many years. But let's move on and see what we have to find.
Okay, thanks to all of you. My name is Rob Ranta. I lived at 62 Langsford Street. That's the corner of Viking Street or diagonally across from Butman Avenue. It's the building that has the big glass windows to identify that it was once a store. My dad's store from 1935 until 1976. And I want to mention that Edwin lived across the street from Ranta's Market at 63 Langsford, and I think he told me you worked there for over 40 years, right, Edwin?
From 38.
38 years. I wish I was clear as... Thank you. And then I now live in Rockport. My grandparents ran a store there, and Susan and I lived there, what had once been the grocery. And we have 2 adult children and 4 grandsons. And I'm also lead the Cape Ann Finns, and Susan and I are also advocates for domestic and gun violence prevention. So without further ado, let's begin with our first round of questions. As I mentioned when I emailed all of you, when you look at the agenda, it looks so darn regimented. But we know nowadays that's not necessarily the case. So feel free to, jump in if you want to, but certainly let the person talk who is talking. But if you have comments, you can then make them. Okay? We'll turn it over to Wally.
That's bad. I want to just mention another thing. We have 12 grandchildren. We have